I also want to close with one message to the Democrat Party. End this farce that Joe Biden is going to be your nominee. We know he's not even the president of the United States. He's a puppet for the managerial class. So have the guts to step up and be honest about who you're actually going to put up so we can have an honest debate. Biden should step aside, end his candidacy now so we can see whether it's Newsom or Michelle Obama or whoever else.
All right,
just
Mr.
tell us the
Ramaswamy,
truth so we can have an honest
time is
debate.
up. Ambassador.
As you can see, Vivek called this out months ago during the Republican debates, and when he did, a lot of people acted as if he was like some type of fringe conspiracy theorist weirdo, even though he was the only one with the cojones, with the balls to sit there on national television and tell the truth. Now, I think a lot of us saw this coming. If you've been paying attention, then you were not caught by surprise when Joe Biden announced that he was stepping down. I think the only thing that is surprising is that he did it on X or Twitter. By the way, go follow me over there if you haven't already. But he didn't even give a formal announcement. We have not seen his face. We have not heard his voice, at least at the time of this recording. So maybe the way he stepped down is kind of surprising, but him stepping down is not surprising at all. Now, personally, I think this was a plan that they've been concocting for a while, but I do not think that the final decision was made until last Saturday when Donald Trump stood up after that attempt on his life and he raised his fist. That's when the final decision was made, in my opinion. In my opinion. I think that the debate was the last straw, and then I think that there was possibly a plot that was cooked up to allow someone to try to take out Trump. We're not going to get too deep into those details, but I think that they kind of allowed that to happen, and when it didn't happen the way they were hoping for it to happen, now Joe Biden steps down 1 week after they try to take out Trump. I mean, just look at how these chain of events are playing out. It's absolutely insane. And if you ask me, it's just so obvious what's going on here, even though I can't talk the way I want to talk on this platform about everything that's happening. So like I said, go follow me over there on X where I can speak more freely about some of this stuff. But I knew this was going to be one of their plans. But the only problem they had was Kamala Harris. You see, Kamala Harris is not that popular. No one likes Kamala Harris. Now today, you'll see a bunch of people pretending to be Kamala Harris fans, but in reality, no one likes her, and she's actually been polling worse than Joe Biden. But now they're going to have all of this artificial hype behind Kamala. They're going to play identity politics, when in reality, they want to get Kamala Harris out the way as well. You see, they wanted Joe Biden out the way. They've gotten him successfully out the way. Now they want to get Kamala out the way. But getting Kamala out the way will go against everything that they've been preaching, which is diversity, equity, inclusion, strong black women. They can't go against Kamala, at least openly. They're going to have to backdoor Kamala. So there's going to be some really cutthroat stuff going on within the Democratic Party, within the next couple of months, because they don't want Kamala as the nominee. But they cannot replace Kamala with a white man. They can't replace Kamala with a white woman. They can't even replace Kamala with a black man. The only type of person they can replace Kamala with, without receiving too much criticism from their voter base, is another black woman. Now, if they were to replace Kamala with a black woman, who would that black woman be? It would have to be Michelle Obama. And that's why a lot of people are theorizing that at some point down the line, they are going to yank Kamala and they're going to push in Michelle. And Vivek, who was right all along about Joe Biden stepping down, he still seems to think that Michelle may be the actual nominee, but they're just waiting last minute to do it. Let's go ahead and listen to what he has to say.
I have been dying to talk to you all day, and here is why. I spoke to you pre-debate, and you told me Biden would not be the nominee. You've been saying it over and over and over. Post-debate, I suspect you still believe that, but tell me how it plays out.
Look, I think that the reality is the managerial class around Biden has lost their use for him. This has been obvious to me since last year. Play out the incentives. He is not the strongest candidate they can put up. And these people, they have stopped at nothing to keep Donald J. Trump out of office. You think they're going to stop at this step? I think it's actually one different game they're playing, Kaylee, is they want this to happen as late as possible into the cycle. They want it to be in the honeymoon phase of a new candidate. Initially, you get that honeymoon phase before the scrutiny comes. If that swap out comes in August or even after August, they get to put up a candidate who will not yet have had the scrutiny, keep Republicans guessing. And that's, I think, the game that's actually going on here. And the reality is, I think there's only two viable choices, really, if you think about it. The Democratic Party is wedded to identity politics. The only reason Kamala Harris got that job, frankly, is because she was a black woman. Don't take my words, take it from the words of the Democratic Party itself, which leaves Kamala Harris or Michelle Obama. That's where I predict this plot ends, and I don't think it's going to happen particularly soon. I think it's in their incentive to wait as long as possible, and that's exactly where I think the game goes from here.
Interesting. So August, and you named two individuals. In the meantime, we need to know what's going on with our country. Troops have died overseas. That phone does ring at 3 a.m., and I don't know that Biden's answering, and we need answers. Do you believe that Congress should use their oversight authority to subpoena whomever they can? I don't know if they can do this with current administration. They can certainly do it with former administration officials. Should there be congressional subpoenas to see if KJP is correct that nothing has been hidden from us?
Look, I think we should use every toolkit in our arsenal right now. Every leader in Washington, D.C. has a heightened obligation now more than ever because we have a president of the United States who is absent. Forget the election this year, even aside from the election. Just speaking as an American, Kaylee, Americans deserve an answer to the question of who is actually running the country. It is clear after that abysmal debate performance, it isn't Biden. But that's a worrisome concern at a moment when we are facing some of the greatest risks we have faced in a generation right here in our own homeland. Yes, are there parallels to LBJ in '68? Of course there are. There was a war that we shouldn't have been in an era of global instability. You see that, in some cases, in multiple times over, not only around the world, but in the risks we face right here at home. Now is not a moment for us to have a commander-in-chief whose seat is functionally vacant. And so should congressmen or anybody else in D.C. doing everything in their power to secure our country in this time of absence at the top? Absolutely is the answer.
Well, we have some breaking new reporting coming up about who is running the country. They have a new White House aide. You will not believe who it is. Thank you very much.
Now, don't get me wrong. I think that Kamala may be their pick. But make no mistake about it. The stuff they preach, the DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, it is backfiring in their face right now. Because they do not want Kamala to be their nominee. But they have forced themselves into this corner and they can't get out of it. So regardless if she's a good nominee or not, regardless if she's popular or likable or not, they're going to have to run with her. And there's not many people who are actually genuinely enthusiastic about this. You're going to see a lot of fake enthusiasm coming from the paid-off shills on social media. But let's be real. Kamala has been vice president for 4 years. Where has she really been? She has been out of the spotlight purposely, not really showing herself. Don't get me wrong. She pops up at, her scheduled events. She pops up at, the places where she's scheduled to be. She does, what a vice president does, I guess, sometimes as far as, being there for Joe Biden during his, when he addresses the nation and things like that. But for the most part, she's been almost a non-existent vice president. And she's done that on purpose because she has tried to separate herself from the embarrassment that is Joe Biden. But she's also an embarrassment herself. So them two together is a recipe for disaster. So she's been staying out of the way. And a lot of people have basically forgotten that she even existed. And now the same people who have not had anything to say about her for the last 4 years are going to pretend as if they're so excited to vote for her. And it's all phony. A lot of people can sit there on social media and pretend to be excited, but we know genuine enthusiasm. And there is genuine enthusiasm behind Donald Trump. There was never genuine enthusiasm behind Biden. There was not genuine enthusiasm now behind Biden before he stepped down. And there is not genuine enthusiasm behind Kamala. Now, if they replace Kamala with Michelle, you will see genuine enthusiasm. And then I think we will have something to worry about. But make no mistake about it, I don't think people should just automatically assume that Trump is going to win, because they're going to do whatever they can to ensure that he doesn't. And like Vivek said, they're doing this purposely at the last minute. So when this nominee does come in, everyone's going to be caught off guard. They're not going to be prepared for who their opponent is. And there's not going to be time to really expose their opponent for their flaws. But all of this is just going to get way more crazy moving forward. We really haven't seen anything yet, but the last week or so has been absolutely exhausting with all of this crazy news. For now, though, let me know your thoughts below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe. And if you find yourself getting too worked up about all of this, remember, it's just political cinema.